Hey everybody, I'm Yvonne Williams with Back to Earth Creations, and in this video I want to show y'all how to make your very own full Persian heart out of chainmail rings. So let's get started. So to make this project, I really recommend already being quite familiar with the full Persian 6-in-1, which if you are not, there should be a link popping up on the screen right now, as well as links down in the video description below for where you can go and learn how to do that. I'm using 18 gauge 1/4 inch rings in a variety of tones. The lighter silvery tone are actually nickel silver or German silver. And then the other three are parawire that has been made into rings, so enameled copper, which you get the same great quality of the parawire, but in ring form, which I think is great. And so here we have a segment of full Persian 6-in-1. And I'm going to show you how you can make this branch off into like a V, which could be used just as a necklace in and of itself. Like you could just do that one section and then have it come around. It makes a really nice like kind of V-neck necklace as opposed to just a rounded necklace. But then we can bring it around and repeat that join down at the bottom. It makes a little heart, which is really fun. So here you can see we're going to be holding our segment like this, as opposed to off to the side. No, we're holding it like this, sorry. And I'm going to remove one of the rings. Let me zoom in quite a bit more for you. So you can see here, we're looking at it from this angle so that the V's are opening up that way, as opposed to here where the V's are opening in towards us. But I'm going to open and remove this ring. And just set it off to the side for now. And then this ring I am going to put in between these two. So it's still going to be looped through just as it is. Try to find your closure. Opening that up quite widely if you can. And I actually like to do it from the back side. Come in and open that up just a bit, which it can be difficult. So, okay, we're just going to pull this ring out. If you get tangled up on yourself, that's okay. These things happen, apparently. So I'm actually going to close the ring a bit. And that might be able to help me, get it out of there. Okay, disaster averted. So now I'm going to reopen it. And I want to be placing this right through there, if you can see. Like, boop, right through there. So we're going to pull those rings down. And I'm going to hook that one in. Make sure it's coming out correctly on the back side. And then we're going to close it. If you want, you could use a 16 gauge 5/16, or even still an 18 gauge 5/16, like kind of the next size of ring up, still within the aspect ratio for this point right here. It's not necessary, but it can give you a nice like gradiated effect. So now that we have done this side, I'm actually going to create another segment just like this. So this is a really nice little refresher if you don't feel like going back and watching my full Persian tutorial. So we're going to have the first unit is 2 open with 4 closed on one of them. So I can do a better job of closing that one. Boop, boop. There we are. Put it on there, pick it up. It's got that 4 closed. We're going to close it and hook through those same 4 again, and close. Split it off to the side where it's a bit of a 2-2 chain, and then we're going to sandwich one onto the other side, and then coming in, hooking through here, kind of spreading these 2 apart to isolate these 2. See how that happened? And then hooking that one onto the side. It takes some practice, but you'll get there. So you get the hang of it. And close, and then I'm going to thread through again. And I'm going to do at least 1 rotation of the color scheme before trying to join it to our center part. So just weaving, doubling up on where I just wove through, and then separating it off to the side for that sandwich. Hook through there, spread those 2, hook through. It's almost like you have to go down a layer of rings, and then pushing that one up onto the side. And close. And then I'm going to thread another ring right through where that one is to double up on it. Just like that. Now keep them 1 on either side. Coming through with our next color. Hook, hook, hook. And close. And double up on it. And you want to double check if things feel kind of tight and weird. Double check and make sure that everything's laced through where it's supposed to be. There we go. Sandwiching 1 on each side. So now we have enough that we, have something to hold on to, and we can hold it up and compare. Okay, and then turn. Okay. So see how those are mirroring each other? I'm actually going to remove, and this can get pretty tricky. So be patient with yourself and with the project. I'm going to remove 1 ring. Sometimes can be a little difficult in this weave. There we go. Let's get it on out of there. And you can see it's still not quite right. So we turn it sideways. There we are. And I'm going to remove 1 of these rings. Because the goal here is to still have it holding everything in place, but to like magic trick them together. And so now on this side, I'm going to remove 1 of these rings, where there's 2 of them. Okay. And so now from here, this one that's hanging off the very far end, I'm going to open that and lace it through where this one is traveling through. So through all 3. And then I'm going to close it and see where it's at. Okay, so things are quite crowded right now. That's okay. That's understandable. With that being the case, I am going to remove this one. So, like, I'm not kidding. This is not a beginner project, you guys. I recommend being very, very familiar with the half Persian or full Persian 6 and 1. And so we've slid that out. And we'll put that guy back in later. But this one here, we now need to hook it through where this one's traveling. So I'm going to open it and bring it around. Looks like you could benefit from being opened just a little bit wider. And through those 2 bronze rings. And then closed. So now you can see that's how that happened. Way easier said than done. And so now what's left for us is putting this ring through on this side now. Which what we're going to do is we need it to be going through right there. So above that German silver ring and below that bronze ring. See where the light's coming through right there? That's where we're shooting for. So I'm going to open this up quite generously. And just, there we go, right through there. And then right through, maybe, bah. Okay, well, it looks like we're gonna have to go up a ring size right there. So here I have some 16 gauge 5/16. Because it's, I mean, the goal is to have them, you know, kind of up like that. So I'm going to remove all that work we just did. And sometimes you don't really know whether or not it's going to work until you do it. And that's okay too. So we've removed the one, and now we're going to add through right there. Doubling up on that ring just with a bigger ring size. And then through right there. And close that one. And now we're going to remove the smaller ring. It's keeping everything just a little too tight. And it sounds like the neighbors are drag racing again. And we're going to insert in that large ring again. And you can see, just through right there. And then through right there. And close it. And so now you can see that freed us up a little bit of space. And we'll be able to come in with our 18 gauge 1/4 inch ring and looking at that same opening, that same little spot where the light comes through. Just hook it on through both sides, making sure it's exiting out correctly as well, and then through these larger rings. Now this is an excellent opportunity to utilize another pair of bent nose pliers so you can get in there and grab it and bring them around. Because part of what becomes difficult with this is it's such a dense weave, airtight in spots, that you can't really get where you need to be going. Okay. And oddly, why is this side so much tighter than the other one? Did I loop through something wrong? No, I don't seem to have. Okay, well maybe it's just like that. And if it's kind of tight and you don't know why, just shake it. Just shake it a bit. And so now though, I am going to take a German silver ring here and hook through those two and close it. And I'm going to take a German silver ring and hook through here on the other side and close it. And that is something that you could put another ring size down, kind of taper it down, hooking through all four and closing. Keep grabbing the wrong pliers. And then putting through one more in that same spot. There we go. And that's going to hold that nice and tight. Oops. Because I kind of feel like if this is loose, then it just becomes a little yoke necklace anyhow. And if we were able to, if we had slightly larger rings, might actually be able to, I think I'm just going to do the one, actually. I like how the symmetry of it, it just sits in the right spot. But from here, you do actually have the option of adding and continuing on your full Persian weave into a little like a lariat or Y necklace. But kind of like that. It looks a little bit like a flux capacitor. So I don't know, in my mind. So we can take that. And now you can see it would hang either that way with a very nice little V-neck, or we can continue the weave out quite a bit, which if I recall, it takes, in the times I've made this before, you'll need about 16 repetitions on each side before you can get it to meet at the bottom. So I'm going to weave off screen until I get us right about there, and then I'll meet you guys back here to join the bottom point. So we've come out about this far. I had set up enough rings to do 16 repetitions. Let's see, I've got, not including the one that we split, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 repetitions. I could have stopped sooner if I wanted a smaller, tighter heart, but I kind of wanted something about this size. You know, so use your artistic discretion. I am going to be removing these two rings off of the end here. And I kind of just had added another unit as though I were extending the weave. And so now you can see that kind of gives it a finished end. But I'm going to come around to the other side and hook these two rings hanging loose off the end through these two. And as we do this, I want to be making very sure that I don't have any weird twists or anything. So that's going to come across and hook through, just like that. Let me zoom in a bit more for you. There we are. And close. Then we can just flip our work over. Open this ring up. We can actually remove it and then boop, boop, through there. And now we're going to want to make sure that this one's sandwiched on this side and this one, if we can get it, is sandwiched on the other side. That way it keeps that little bit of a V pattern happening. And so we're coming in for the next step. And I have two of the nickel silver toned rings. Because you can see here, I mean, it finishes it, but it's very round. Looks more like a booty. Sorry. But we're going to do very similarly to how we did up here. And so I'm going to take this ring and I'm going to hook through, splitting these two apart right there. Like, I don't know if you can see. Look at that. Right through to the back there. And then here on the back side, you can see that is incorrect. We want it to be going in between those two copper rings. Just like that. And then coming into here and closing it. Now that actually makes a really interesting like leaf shape, just all kind of twisted around on itself. So I mean, always experiment. You never know what's going to happen. So there we have that. And I'm going to do that same thing on the other side. And what that's doing is it's kind of joining us down. So through these two rings, and then through those two rings, and then right smack into the center, and close it. So you can see how those come side by side. You can see it doesn't really want to stay in that shape though. So what I'm going to do is take some more nickel silver rings. And we can just leave the end like that if we want, but I'm going to take this one and I'm going to hook it through these two rings. Sorry, I didn't mean to go off camera. Right there and right there. Sorry, I pet the cat and I'm like covering cat hair now. So just hooking through those two and then hooking through, like kind of coming around, and this is going to be really difficult because it's the rings don't want to lay that way, but we have to make them lay that way. So hooking through these two, and then flipping our work over and hooking through those two. And this is going to go miles into helping reinforce our work. And then close. And so now you can see that almost forces it down a little bit into that point, but it's still shifty. So now I'm actually going to take a 16 gauge 5/16 ring, open that up, and I'm going to come up a segment, hooking through these two, then hooking through these two. And this is where kind of doing a color repetition can actually kind of help you, because then you can know, well, I hooked through the gold rings on this side, so I need to hook through the gold rings on this one. But man, this gets like super duper tight though. So just cram it in there. We've got this. Or try to. When you're learning this weave, oh, there goes the cat. Oh, sorry. Really don't mean to go off camera. Sorry, guys. Don't be too torn up if you mangle some rings. There we go. So see how that's stacked through? And so now we're going to close that one. And then kind of strong arm those back into shape. Oof. And then we can try to pop this one up. It got distorted a little bit. So maybe we should skip a ring? I don't know, you can see that really distorted things. That one shouldn't be going quite so sideways. There we go. Nope. Okay. Every time I think, there we go. I popped it down. You can clean up this closure a little bit now that we've got it through. Gonna tuck that off to the side. But you can see that kind of holds it into shape. And we could have made this a little tighter, but there's still a little bit of wiggle going on. So what we can do is we can actually come up here to the top and join these two rings together with another 16 gauge ring if we so desire. And so if we had done it a little farther up, these steps wouldn't have been necessary. But I just wanted to show you guys that if you end up making a heart like this and you want it to be a little bit more like kind of tight down on itself, you can actually really bring that around and you might be able to join those rings there and give yourself a very exaggerated heart shape. So just ideas. But that's how it's coming along. And honestly, as a necklace, I think this would be just fine, though it does have a little bit too much wiggle. So let's see what adding another ring does. Because again, you don't know till you experiment. Through on that side. Nope, doesn't quite reach. Because you'll notice the tighter we pull that down, the more condensed it makes those rings. So aside from whenever it wants to poke out weird, it sits pretty nicely. And this could be a really fun fidget piece too. We can build off the end. Though I would recommend using a much smaller ring size, unless you want to continue it down. So for the most part, there we are, you guys. Your very own full Persian heart. And if you're ever dissatisfied with some of your closures and you just can't get it to be better, you can just kind of twist that ring around to where it's hidden inside the weave. And that way you won't have to worry about it snagging anything. Hey y'all, so we did it. We made a full Persian heart. There are a lot of different ways that you can add variety and variation to this, however suits you. I've done pieces in the past where it had little like beads and gems hanging off. You might be able to whip stitch in these little loops around the edges. You could edge it in beads in different things. You could make it into a necklace, which would be pretty cool. I don't know if you're into it. Just experiment and see what you come up with. But if you guys have any questions, comments, or ideas, please leave them down below. In the video description, there will be links to all the different tools and materials, as well as links to all of my different social media. So if you want to tag me on Instagram or share something to my Facebook wall or become a pledger on Patreon, but no, really though, then you can find the links for that stuff down there. Now, speaking of Patreon though, I do give out rings in my chainmail kits each month, as when we do like wire wrapping. Sometimes I do some leatherworking stuff, just all sorts of different things over there. So be sure to check it out, because everything, every like, every share, every subscribe, everything does so much to help us keep these daily videos coming and exploring new techniques and ideas. So thanks again, guys, and until next time, happy crafting. Bye.